Hello and welcome to Mind Shifters Radio. I'm Tim Hayes. I'm your host for the first hour. And today is Wednesday, November 17th, 2021. As always, we're grateful that everyone is joining us here today, whether you're listening live or through the archives, as we spend another couple of hours teaching and supporting people in using some of the most powerful, effective, efficient, and accessible tools I've ever encountered. These tools are available absolutely free at whyagain.org. If you go to that website and click on the Start Here link in the upper left-hand corner of the page, it will take you to a page where you can download and read Chapter 24 of Dr. Michael Rice's book. His book is titled, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? And that chapter of that book contains a narrative description of the primary tool in this work. That tool is called the Reality Management Worksheet, sometimes called the Reality Management Wake-Up Sheet. And it's a tool I've been using to great effect for over 17 years to improve the quality of my life and most of my relationships, and to turn any negative emotional experience that I have into part of the infallible guidance system that each one of us has been given. On that same page, you can download the actual worksheet process itself. It's a simple PDF file. Click on it, download it, print it off, and use it as often as you'd like. You can also go to your app store and type in the three words Heartland Aramaic Forgiveness. And there you'll get, before you're done typing the word forgiveness, you'll see the glowing heart icon. And if you tap on that, it will let you download a completely free and private app that contains the Reality Management Worksheet, an abbreviated version of that worksheet process, and a copy of the Dragon Klingon game, which is a wonderful way to introduce these tools to even younger audiences. You can also download a whole host of audio files of shows just like this one, where people have been stepped through that worksheet process and or given testimonials about how beneficial it has been to apply that tool in their lives. And we hope people do that soon and often, because it frequently creates questions, comments, or testimonials. And if you have any of those to share with us, please give us a call and share. Area code 563-999-3581. If you call that number and press 1, it'll put a question mark by your phone number, and I'll announce you by your area code. We're also doing the Course in Miracles workbook lessons this year. Today is the 321st day of the year. Today's lesson reads, Father, my freedom is in you alone. And the preface to this section is a series of paragraphs about what is creation. And I'll leave you with this, that there will, creation is the sum of all the Creator's thoughts, infinite in number, everywhere and without limit. So creation is everything that the one mind, the creative mind, has thought. And everything is in a line with that creation, whether we hallucinate that it's in line with it or not. And it's only by using the process of forgiveness, which is basically the removal of everything that's unlike that true perception, that accurate perception, that we are able to fully align with the thought of the Creator. And so today's lesson reads, Father, my freedom is in you alone. Commentary says, I did not understand what made me free, nor what my freedom is, nor where to look to find it. Creator, I have searched in vain until I heard your voice directing me. That would be that still small voice, that quiet, intuitive knowing that each one of us has some access to if we will step into the use of it. And now I would give up guiding myself and let your guidance direct me. I trust in you. You, as a creator that endowed me with my freedom, you endowed me as your holy offspring, and that endowment will not be lost to me. I'm going to listen to your voice, and I'm going to listen to the way that you direct me in opening and clear at last. Creator, my freedom is in you alone. Today we answer for the world which will be freed along with us. How glad we are to find our freedom through the way that our Creator has established. How sure is all the world's salvation when we learn our freedom can be found in the Creator alone. And today's commentary from the Course in Miracles Experiment by Pam Grout, Lesson 321 from Pam, is titled Striving Sucks, or What Self-Help Books Fail to Mention. Pam quotes A Course in Miracles where it says, "If ever I am sad or hurt or ill, I have forgotten what the Creator teaches and put my little meaningless ideas where His thoughts belong." Pam writes, I know, many of my books are listed in the self-help section, but here's why I'd like to invent a new category. Point number 1, striving is unnecessary. Nothing is missing, nothing is wrong, no matter how it appears to the naked eye. You, me, all of us are perfect just as we are. When I seek to fix something, I add weight to the illusion that something could be wrong. I begin seeking, I begin striving, and all of that only trains me how to stay hallucinating that I'm broken. Wanting to change sets off warning bells and sends up a red flare. Here's the next point. There's no need to follow the 7 or 8 steps. Most of us believe there is a linear progression. We go from A to B to C, etc. When I live in miracle mind, which is also known as my natural state, answers arise spontaneously. People that I'm meant to meet show up in the same aisle at the grocery store. Everything works without effort. And here's the third point. There's custom-designed guidance. One size does not fit all. Just like one diet plan or one strategy for meeting your soulmate doesn't work for everybody. Everything I need to know is already inside me. Any worthy pilgrimage always brings me straight back to myself. So, I'd like to propose a name change. Instead of the self-help section in the bookstore, how about the self-connecting to the bigger thing section of the bookstore? Look for it at your local bookstore, labeled Self-Connecting to the Bigger Thing. And that's our Course in Miracles workbook lesson for today, and that's our Course in Miracles experiment commentary from Pam Grout. And as usual, we've got about 50 minutes to take your comments or questions or suggestions for a topic, or mention people you think that we should interview. You can email us at tjh@mindshifters-academy.org, or you can email Jeannie at JEANIE at whyagain.org, WHYAGAIN.org. Or you can give us a call at 563-999-3581. So today, since no one has a hand up, I will share a worksheet. Now, the Mind Shifter is the name of the show, Mind Shifter Radio, and Mind Shifter is a tool in this work. It's one of the, I consider it one of the 2 primary tools, or one of the 3 primary tools, or one of the 4 primary tools. There are others, but I talked about the codependence to interdependence worksheet yesterday or the day before, And we've talked about the Mind Shifter often, and we've talked about the Reality Management Worksheet often. But the core tool, the one primary, if you only had one tool to use, and I had only one tool from all of this work that I could share with people, it would be the Reality Management Worksheet. And the Reality Management Worksheet needs a little bit of explanation because in our culture, people say, well, reality is just what is. But in Michael's work, he has found it quite valuable to refine that by saying reality is what each of us create images of in our mind. So you've got 7 people in a room, you've got 7 different realities. And what actually is called the actuality in Michael's work. So the Reality Management Worksheet is a tool to change a reality. My reality is any perceptual output that's constructed by my own mind. And the forgiveness, from the ancient Aramaic word shabag, the forgiveness process is a tool for waking up from and changing my reality. Now the question would be, why would I want to change the pictures my mind shows me? The answer is, any time the pictures in my mind show me a way to be angry, sad, hurt, scared, or frustrated, the very best use I've ever discovered for that negative emotional experience is as a wake-up call that there's something off the mark in my own thinking. And recently, there's been something off the mark in my own thinking. Recently, when I've thought about an interaction I have with another grown adult in my life today, 2021, I'm left feeling uncomfortable. I'm left feeling miffed, angry, hurt, sad, scared, etc. It's been a range of different emotions. So this morning I picked up a Reality Management Worksheet, as I had committed to do quite a while ago. Life's been busy, and this was the first time I've picked this up. There was an email I received back on the 26th or something, and in response to that email, my mind created all of these images and pictures of how this is dismissive and this is, nothing I asked for, and all of these negative interpretations of the email. And all of us know what an email is. It's a little electronic signal that goes through the air that shows up on our phone or our computer and arranges some, little pixels on a screen, and we interpret what the words are, what their meaning is, what their emotional content is, etc. And what I did was I had received an email that I hadn't asked for, and I put an interpretation on what I read in the email and ended up with all of these negative emotions. So I pulled out the Reality Management Worksheet, the one I'm using. There are so many different forms of this out there over the years. So I will mention that this is a 7-step Reality Management Worksheet, and it was the final version of this worksheet was created in August of 2017, and this is the 3rd revision from that time period. So at the very bottom it says version 8/2017-3. So if you're looking for following along, it's one of the more recent 7-step Reality Management Worksheet processes that are available from whyagain.org. Click on the link that says Start here in the upper left-hand corner of the home page. Scroll down a little bit and it'll say Reality Management Worksheets or Forgiveness Worksheets, and this is the one I'm using. So it begins by reminding me that the premise of this work is that my essential nature, my very human life, my being is the energy of love or creation expressing in form. And it reminds me that the goal of this Reality Management Worksheet, and it's called an Internal Forgiveness Wake-Up Sheet, the goal of it is to empower me to remove any form of hostility or fear from my mind and return me to the direct experience of my true nature as this energy of creation or energy of love 24/7 all year long. So the worksheet then says, okay, here's point 1A. I, Tim, who am love, I'm experiencing an emotion. My emotion for this worksheet was miffed. angry. And then the worksheet reminds me to use a separate worksheet for each emotion, and it tells me that hostility and fear come from internal corrupt data, and they indicate my mind's use of sustained incoherence. That's what that's a term that David Bohm coined. He was a physicist, and he understood exactly the same thing that Krishnamurti, a great spiritual teacher, did, that there's a flaw in the process of thought. So we use our thoughts to create a picture in our mind, and then we generate these upsets, and then we think we don't like those upsets, so we're going to try and use our thoughts to get rid of the upset. And we're using the very process that created the upset. It cannot lead to a solution. That's sustained incoherence. So, hostility and fear come from internal corrupt data, and they indicate my mind's use of sustained incoherence to build this disturbing internal construct, the image in my mind that says the person who sent me this email is being dismissive of me and all of my work. When that happens, it displaces my awareness of myself as love, as creative energy, and it tells me a lie. It tells me that my emotions are being caused by someone or something outside of me. In this case, the email or the person that sent the email. So my story, my reality is that this person sent me this email and that they are being dismissive of me and all of my work. And the worksheet reminds me to take a breath. Nice deep breath. Hold it for a couple counts at the top. Slow the exhale down and initiate that relax response, that rest and digest response from the parasympathetic nervous system. Calm myself a bit. And then the worksheet asks me to remember, if I'm in pain, my thinking is in error. Always. Only always and forever. If I have pain in my energy system, something's amiss in my energy system, not in the world around me. So that's point 1A is my name is Tim. Point 1B is my emotion is miffed. Point 1C is the person that sent the email. And what they did, my thought about it is that they're being dismissive of me and my work. And 1D is only my thoughts cause my emotional upset. So I'm going to take another breath and focus on my thoughts. And I'm going to pay attention to the fact that there's a specific thought I'm using to cause my emotion of miffed in this worksheet. And the thought I was using was, he does not value or respect me. So then I move to 1E. 1E says, what are my punishment thoughts? What are my punishment thoughts for the person that sent this email? Well, I just want to cut him off, not respond. Have nothing more to do with him. And what's a punishment thought for myself? Well, leaving, that's a punishment thought that might hurt me and him. Or for me to stay stuck. So I vacillate back between those two. Staying in the situation, pushing for a resolution, or just leaving. Either one feels like it would be negative impact for me. And then point 2 in this work says, point 2A, I choose to love, I choose to honor, I choose to respect and work towards seeing the absolute truth, capital T truth. And I willingly face and process out all of the dis-ease producing energies for and from all of my relations and my generations. Point 2B, I willingly go through the physical, mental, and emotional symptoms of healing. And I've done enough of these worksheets to know that's what I'm really interested in. This worksheet is not about anybody but me. My mind wants me to believe it's all about somebody outside of me and the worksheet and the email they sent and them being dismissive of me. But what I understand is this worksheet is about my creating the emotion of being miffed, angry, and my recurring thought about not being valued or respected. So my goal is to heal. And I'm going to choose to respect truth. I'm going to choose to honor truth and willingly face and process out all of the energies in my system for and from all of my relations and the generations that would be creating the negative emotional states and the tension and anger and fear and sadness that I'm experiencing. In order to do that, point 2b reminds me I need to be willing to go through the physical, mental, and emotional symptoms of healing. So I put a check mark in those two boxes and take a breath and calm myself again. And then there's a release. It asks me to do a release where I release and surrender myself, my emotions of being miffed, the person that sent me the email, my 1C, my story about that email, my thoughts about how that person doesn't value or respect me, and my punishment thoughts to cut that person off or to leave and punish myself or to stay stuck and punish myself. And I'm going to surrender all of those things to the energy of love. And I breathe again and soften myself. Point number 3 asks me to come up with what is my mind telling me needs to happen in order for all of this to be resolved, for my miffed, angry energy to be resolved and that negative thought to be resolved. And the goal that I chose was I want this person to recognize and appreciate me and my contributions. So I write that as the goal. I take a breath. And then in the right-hand column, there's a reminder to ask myself, listen, Tim, if that person that sent you the email is the one with the problem, why am I the one feeling the pain? Why are you, Tim, feeling the pain? And then it asks me to do one of the most important cancellations in any of my personal growth work. It asks me to cancel my need to be right and cancel my need to make up another story out of the content of my mind and my memories of what's happened and what should have happened and what didn't happen, so that I can hallucinate proof that my reality, my fear and hostility-based story is true. So I cancel my need to be right, and I take a breath, and I put a check mark in that box. Then I come back to the 4th step, and the 4th step says, I'm going to choose to focus on my true nature as love. And when I focus on that true nature and strengthen my awareness of it, that energy radiates more deeply from my heart space, and that stirs the energy of that creative energy, that loving energy, in everybody around me and everybody involved in any way in this dynamic. The worksheet process mentions the story of the rose and the butterfly, and it says, here's a simple story. A rose and a butterfly, we give them each an ego. They fall madly in love. They have a wonderful time. And one day, being true to its nature, the butterfly picks up and flies away. The rose, mistakenly thinking that the love of his love for the butterfly is the most important thing in its life, it uproots itself to chase after the butterfly, and sadly, it dies. Why did it die? It died because it made something else more important than being connected to its source. The core of the worksheet process says, the premise of this worksheet is that my source, my very nature, my very being is this energy of love and compassion and the energy of creation expressing in form. So any time I focus my mind energy on something less than that, I'm uprooting myself, I'm cutting off my experience of my true self, and I'm initiating disease and eventually death. So in step 4, I want to do a brief meditation, put my hand over my heart space, calm and center myself, and think the most loving, peaceful, safe, happy, contented memories that I can come up with right now, whether recent or distant past. And I did that, and as usual, I thought of some form of interaction with one of my sons or both of my sons. I'm blessed to have two wonderful offspring. And I just breathed into that and shifted my energy. And then I moved to step 5. And step 5 says, when I'm upset, my perception is built out of corrupt data. It's driven by my goal in number 3. Here, the goal in number 3 is for this other person who sent the email to recognize and appreciate me and my contributions. So whenever I'm upset, my perception is built out of this corrupt data and driven by that goal. This upset is a limiting picture created from a tiny bit of information. Harvard research says 9 bits of data during the period of time that my brain cells might be firing 10,000 units of activity. And the truth is, by canceling my goal, that part of my mind that just keeps creating the same picture over and over and trying to convince me it's right and everybody else is wrong, that part of my mind collapses and gives me direct contact with whatever has been denied and dissociated in my mind. The stuff that's in my mind that gets denied and dissociated, it projects and blames others for its content. So while willingly holding love, conscious, active, and present, I choose to collapse my mind's lies and distortions and hallucinations by willingly canceling my goal for this person to recognize and appreciate me and my contributions. So then I breathed and I softened. And step 5b says, I invite Ruka Dakucha. In Aramaic, this is the term for an elemental force specific to humans that each of us has access to, and it's there to break off the effects of our errors in thought and guide us to truth and happiness if we just ask it to. So I'm asking Ruka to incline me toward healing, to restore me to the awareness of my newborn essence as love, to heal my denial, and the denial here would be the thought that somebody else is causing my emotion or my upset, and heal my capacity to generate the emotion of being miffed or angry, and help me open a conscious relationship with and gently remove the denied, dissociated, and projected parts of my mind, my carbon-based memory. So I breathe into that, and with this work, I add a release pattern that I've collected from great minds over the past 18 years, Julie Haverstick and Michael Rice and Jeannie Rice and other people that I was at intensives with and other people in support groups that would come up with bits and pieces. And this is what that pattern sounds like. I close my eyes, I put my hand over my heart space, and I gently repeat to myself, I cancel my need to be right. I cancel my need for anyone or anything to change, including myself. I specifically cancel my goal in this worksheet. I put my conscious logical mind on the shelf for now, and I ask to be shown the hidden part of my own mind that's actually causing my emotion of being miffed. And then I just put myself in this open, allowing space, and I realize I'm perfectly safe here in this present moment. My heart's beating, my breath is moving, and it's perfectly safe for me to see and feel and work through anything that comes to mind. It's all old stuff. It can't hurt me any more than it already has. If it's coming up in my mind right now, it's just nerves firing in my brain. It's an echo of pain. It's a memory of a situation. And I just breathe and soften and gently repeat, I cancel my need to be right. I cancel my need for anyone or anything to change, including myself. I specifically cancel my goal in this worksheet. I put my conscious logical mind on the shelf for now, which is the only way to cancel the sustained incoherence. And I ask to be shown something that my conscious logical mind can't show me, the hidden part of my own mind that's actually creating my upset. And then as I sit and breathe and soften, if something comes to mind, I notice where I am, how old I am, who else is there, and what's happening. And I just pay attention to the details and breathe into it until I feel something shift or fade, or I get an insight, or I realize that my mind is just going to be spinning and go nowhere. And when I did that in this particular worksheet, I saw an image of myself at about 8 years old, and I saw the image of myself trying to interact with my uncle, my mother's older brother, and me being dismissed, and him being very dismissive toward me. And I had a series of memories flip through as I just breathed and softened. I took quite a few minutes for this, and I remembered images of things when I was 8, and I was very, very connected to my uncle's third oldest son. He and I were like, best buddies. And then I flipped to a memory of interacting with my uncle when I was 23 years old. And then I flipped to a memory of interacting with my uncle's family at his funeral. I was probably 40, 44 at the time. And as I just breathed and softened and had all of these memories of feeling discounted and dismissed by him at a younger age, and my sadness that I couldn't be more connected to him or help him, and my sadness that I couldn't have done more to help him and his family over the years, and my sadness about wishing that more people had knew about all of the efforts I made to help him and various other people. I had tears come up, I softened, I breathed, I kept my hand over my heart space trying to be gentle with myself, and eventually it felt like I'd resolved enough, so I opened my eyes and dried my tears and blew my nose and made some notes all over the back of the worksheet. And then I made the note on 6A that I took a breath and scanned my body and realized I felt considerably calmer, but I was also sad. I was no longer angry. I had sadness come up, and I was much more calm. And I just made notes that see the back of the worksheet for all the things related to when I was 8 years old and the cascade of memories. So I breathed and softened, and then I decided, okay, I commit to love. This is part of the worksheet. I commit to living a human life, and to help do this and to achieve this, I'm going to do a mass canceling of all the times I've wanted somebody in my life, anyone in my life, to recognize and appreciate me and my contributions. I breathed into that, softened that energy, and then step 7 in the worksheet says, a principle of the universe is that by giving, I first get the original. So I'm going to be grateful to the person that sent this email for this opportunity to heal. And I'm going to choose to honor truth, and I'm going to choose to reset the filters in my mind over my intention and my perception. Rachma and Kuba set them to those filters so that the state of perfect love has a chance to be present in my awareness. And then I'm going to breathe and soften. And the person that sent me this email that I interpreted as being dismissive of me and all my work, I structure a truly loving goal toward that person. And I'm going to offer them 2 more worksheets on the grief and 1 more worksheet on the conclusion that they're being dismissive. And my upset level by the time I was done was down from a 7 down to a 2. So that was the worksheet for this morning and the way it unfolded. And quite a few surprises in it for me about connections to things. And here I am, past my mid-60s and a psychologist in the safety of my own office, and yet when I interpret something as innocuous as an email with the correct alignment of energies and interpretations, I generate all of this anger, all of this sadness, all of this upset. And that's how this tool continues to be of so much benefit to me in my life. So area code 248, you're in the air.
Yes. How are you doing?
I'm good. Who do we have? What's your first name or A fake name if you don't want to give your true name? How can we support you today?
This is Gianni from Detroit, and I think I might be depressed.
I heard from Detroit, but what's your name?
Gianni.
All right, Gianni. How can we help you today?
I think I may be going through some depression. I've been too embarrassed to talk to someone about it. My mom died in late June. She took the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and she died a month later. I had to kick her apartment door in to find her dead. Then shortly after, maybe like 3 weeks later, we buried her. And then my girlfriend decided, abandoned me. Because at that time I felt like I needed her there. Me and my girlfriend been together for 5 years. She's 24. I'm 34. I'm too embarrassed to talk about the situation because I feel like when I explain it, everyone tells me, "Oh, don't let her play games with you. Just leave." But yet it's been 5 years, and I'm holding on to something. I'm just holding on to it because I already lost my mom. I don't want to lose everything that's around me.
Well, that's certainly a lot to be facing at a short period of time. How did you find us on Mind Shifters Radio?
Just going through the categories and seeing who I can talk to.
Well, we have some really powerful, useful tools that might be of benefit to you. The first tool that I usually teach people when they come into my office is to take a breath where you comfortably fill your lungs, hold it at the top for 2 or 3 seconds, and then resist the exhale. So your exhale is at least 10 seconds long. And that's what I would start you with. I would take a breath or two, comfortably fill your lungs, hold it at the top, and slowly exhale, not blast it out. Because when you do that, you start to initiate the relaxation response in your body. The next thing I would offer is, did you hear the opening introduction?
No.
There's a website for this show where all these tools are available absolutely free. You don't even have to get put on a mailing list. And that website is whyagain.org. And if you go there and you click on the Start Here link, it'll take you to a page where you can access all these tools. The worksheet that I just stepped through, targeted journaling work. You can also go to your app store and type in the 3 words Heartland Aramaic Forgiveness, ARAMAIC, and download an app for your phone so you can do that worksheet that I just stepped through anywhere you have your phone with you. And it's a tool I've been using for over 18 years now to work on sadness, depression, anger, anxiety, hurt, confusion, any of the negative emotions. And it's been helping transform my life for the better for over 17 years.
Okay. All right. I'm going to do that.
And what you just announced is really intense stuff for us humans to go through. The loss of a mother, the loss of a relationship. Even if your mother hadn't died recently, the loss of a 5-year relationship is the kind of thing that really makes us reevaluate, or it gives us an opportunity to reevaluate our choices in life and what we might be doing right, what we might not be doing so well. But to have all of that happen at once, it's very, very common for us as human beings to feel overwhelmed, to feel pushed to the limits.
It happened, I could say, at the end of July. And at that point, my girlfriend moved out with her friend, and she's been pretty much leaving me alone. That's the worst part, been leaving me alone as we'll get back together. She's not seeing nobody else. nigga always asking me if I'm seeing somebody else, telling me she loved me, pretty much just lying, conniving. Because when she finally came back last week, I had so much resentment that she abandoned me in the summertime. Like, every other word was me bringing up the fact where you left me, and you don't deserve to talk and say this and say that. So there's a lot of tension there. Then, come to find out, the guy she supposedly wasn't messing with ended up calling her as if she owed him an explanation why she wasn't calling him, to make it seem like they was in a relationship. But she telling me, "Oh no, I'm just leading him on. It's not that. I didn't want to come back and for you to not feel some type of way about me." And that's why I kept leading him on, because if I didn't have you, at least I have somebody else. And I felt that was pretty conniving. But that was the whole relationship almost for the last year and a half of it, of her just being conniving like that and making me feel I'm saying something wrong or doing something wrong. And really I was right the whole time in my suspicions.
So what kind of support do you have in your life? Do you have a job? Do you have friends? Do you have family that can offer you support? And you say you're feeling depressed. What's your support network like?
I mean, I have friends. I'm in the military, but it's all like my manly stuff. So I speak on it, and they say, "Hey, man, don't let your emotions get the best of you. Yeah, it's been 5 years, but you got to get on with life." I'm like, "But this just happened." But okay, and pretty much telling my friends the same thing, and my sisters that don't like her, so they say, "Oh, well, we're glad you don't talk to her anymore." Well, I'm like, "Well, I still love her, even though we're doing all this." In my mind, it might be poisonous to think like this. I'm thinking like maybe we can work on it and figure it out. But all my sisters telling me, "No, don't figure it out. Just move on and leave." I'm like, oh no. I'm feeling kind of lost and confused and not knowing what to do.
Well, the work that you're tapped into here with the Mind Shifters Radio and you stumbled across a resource. I'm a clinical psychologist in Illinois, and I do this show for the last almost 11 years, 1 hour a day, 5 days a week, because these tools that they make available absolutely free are some of the best tools I've ever encountered in my 47 years of doing therapy. So I strongly encourage you that use some of that strength of character that you have, that you must have to be in the military, and go to that website and download the worksheet and or listen to this show again where I stepped through a worksheet that I had done for myself this morning, and or download the app to your phone so you can do that worksheet. Beyond that, there's a whole list of other shows where other people have called in and they've had upsets like yours, and we've stepped them through the worksheet process, so those shows can serve as a tutorial for you to how to apply this worksheet in your own life. And when you figure out how to manage or disassemble the negative emotions that you're experiencing right now, you will end up having a clearer view of your life and your relationship with your girlfriend, and then you'll make better decisions. Then you'll know better within your own heart of hearts, should you give her another chance the way your heart is telling you, or should you move on like your sisters are telling you or your other family members are telling you. But it's almost impossible to make a good decision about that when I've got the negative emotional states of anger, fear, sadness, hurt, depression, confusion, or overwhelm active in my mind. That's why we find it so useful to use the reality management worksheet. Like, I didn't see when your number came up, so I don't know how much of that you heard me work through. But minutes after, an hour and 20 minutes from now, a few minutes after that, the archive of this show is going to be there. So there'll be yet another record of somebody working through a worksheet process that you could get access to. And the the core of this work, Gianni, is that I understand by a direct observation that I'm the only one that's ever caused myself to feel an emotion. Right now, your mind is telling you that your girlfriend is causing your upset, your sadness, your betrayal, your feeling that you were betrayed, etc. This work can help you understand how she's just doing the best she can in each moment with whatever life brings her and whatever resources she has, just like you're doing the best you can in each moment. And you're creating your emotions based on how you interpret and respond to what she does, and she's creating her emotions based on how she interprets and responds to what life brings her. And I can tell you from my own firsthand experience that the longer I've used these tools over the years, the more confident I feel, the less time I spend in the negative emotional states, and the more balanced my personal life and relationships have become.
I'm going to work on it. It's just right now, I think everything is kind of fresh. It seemed like it was kind of broken up, but was working towards something. And all of a sudden, it just blew up. I feel like I worked on myself a lot since the time she'd been gone from August until now. And when she came back last week, it was just one incident, and it just spiraled out of control. And she always trying to tell me, well, that's your anger and your frustration is the reason why you need a break. But really, it's I feel like I'm reacting to a situation, so I'm defending myself. And then when she finally realized that yesterday, or 2 days ago, so I realized that, and now I need to step away. But I want to keep talking to you, and I don't want you to not talk to me. So like she's trying to confuse me almost. And I feel even worse, where I still haven't grieved over my mom properly yet. I've been putting this relationship first, because I know, I don't know.
Well, and as we said, there's a lot going on. You know, you're adjusting to the change in life with your mother not being there, and you're adjusting to the change in the relationship, and it's a lot to handle all at once. And the reason that it's so beneficial to talk to somebody who's not involved in it and somebody who studies human behavior and how we create our own emotions is because then they can help you use tools like the ones at whyagain.org to actually start to relieve the pressure that you feel when you're feeling depressed, when you're feeling angry, when you're feeling sad, when you're operating from the belief that your girlfriend is abandoning you, etc. That creates a pressure inside our heads. That creates this cycle of spinning thoughts. And this worksheet process is specifically designed to help change that, disrupt that process, help me calm down, help me get a clearer perception of my life, and make better decisions.
All right.
And, you know, if you were interested and you wanted to stick around, there's a second hour of this show coming up, and Dr. Michael Rice will be here. He might actually help you work through a worksheet. We don't quite have time to do that, and I don't want to get you started and then drop in the middle of it, but that's an option. You could stick around and ask him to help you step through a worksheet on your sadness or your anger or your overwhelm, any one of those three.
Okay. I got to get back to work.
Okay. Understood. The website is whyagain.org, and the app on your phone can be found by searching for Heartland, all one word, Heartland, Aramaic, Aramaic, and type the word forgiveness. Before you're done typing that word, you'll see the glowing heart icon. And if you download that, it'll give you access to the app. And as I said, there's all kinds of audio files and the show archives for the last 10 and a half years of this show as tutorials for you. So feel free to call back again tomorrow and or Friday. We're here 5 days a week, and I will be holding the hope that you find good use of the tools.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right, take care.
You too. Bye.
So our call-in number is 563-999-3581. We have about 8 minutes left. Do you have comments or questions or answers or commentaries about the worksheet process that I did at the beginning of the show? Do you have a suggestion for a topic that's different from that? It is of great benefit to me to have these tools, and I benefit tremendously from the willingness that I'm pretty sure I inherited from both of my parents, and the willingness to actually use tools like this to my benefit whenever the situation arises. And hopefully it's of benefit to you when we share those processes on the show. I was making active use of the admonition from Pema Chodron when I was doing my worksheet to be gentle with myself, because there is a tendency, even after all these years, for me to be hard on myself for even needing to do a worksheet anymore, rather than just being able to take a breath and let everything move and transmute it on the spot. But I realized after a number of weeks of thinking of this situation actively from time to time, and realizing that every time I thought of it, there was at least a tension in me, if not an actual negative emotion. And so I understood that the only way to get some kind of movement in hopes of eventual resolution is to get out of my head, quit thinking about it, and just do a process. I've done some EFT tapping. I've done some breathing at night. And the thing that really helped break it loose was doing this worksheet and finding some connections to things that were, significantly important relationships in my life. And they, as the worksheet revealed, it goes back to when I was 8 years old. And it was connected to things that happened when I was 8, and when I was in my teens, and when I was in my 20s, and when I was in my 40s. And it's just got the same kind of resonant energy as the situation in my life today. And that just helps me reinforce the observation that what I'm upset about is never the people or things outside of me. It's only, always, and forever my own internal creation. And if I'm willing to pick up the worksheet, if I'm willing to do the work, there's a real good chance I'll see things, connections, meanings, interpretations, stored traumatic energies that I was not aware of prior to doing the work. So that's my offering for today. We have another 5 minutes to chat. If you've got a comment or a question, 563-999-3581. We've got 2 more shows this week. We'll do one tomorrow, and there'll be a support group tomorrow. I was working on the email that goes out from my website, from my AWeber account, to email people to let them know that we're having support groups on Tuesdays and Thursdays. You can get access to that, and the information is available at mindshiftersacademy.org. And or you can go to my blog on my website and get access to the AWeber account so you can get emails notifying you when there are events or changes coming up in the Mind Shifters radio show, or my hour of that show. And I would also remind people that we have the On Your Mind podcast hosted by Journey's Dream, which is a not-for-profit that's actively working to try and help rewrite the narrative on mental health to one in which optimal health and well-being is possible and expected, and where mental health challenges become transformative rather than tragic. There's a recent, I would call it a glitch, that I became aware of, and that is that when I submit these On Your Mind podcasts to be fixed up or fancied up by the podcast people, they don't always do what they're designed to do. So I would ask for the support that if you listen to an On Your Mind podcast interview and you find that in some way it is sloppy or the editing is bad or there's a lot of loose talk before my usual opening question, which is, can you tell us how you got into the work you do and what drives your passion for it? That's my usual opening question. If you discover that the situation or the episode is not edited well, please send me an email or call me on the internet show. The email at tjh@mindshifters-academy.org. And our call-in number for this show, again, is 563-999-3581. You can call that number and press 1 and let me know. Also, you can make suggestions about who you'd like to have us interview, either for the Mind Shifters radio show or for the On Your Mind podcast, hosted by Journey's Dream, available at journeysdream.org/podcast. And that'll just about do it for our show today, our first hour of the show. Second hour coming up with Michael and Jeannie. I'll remind us all that we come from love. We're made of the stuff we call love. We actually are love, and everything else is false. Welcome, Jeannie Rice.
Thank you, Dr. Tim. I'll have to go back and listen to the first part where you walked through a worksheet. I missed that part. But excellent conversation with Gianni. Is that his name?
Gianni. Yep, Gianni from Detroit.
Awesome.
All right. Have a lovely show.
Thank you.